Hello and welcome to week 1. My name is Val.
And my name is Ryan.
And we will be your fitness instructors for this video. We're doing this video in partnership with CHOMP's Worksite Wellness program in hopes to give you guys a little bit more tips about exercise and wellness.
So a little bit about us. We are both trainers here on the Monterey Peninsula. I work in the private sector and I specialize in helping people move better and getting them stronger.
In addition to being a trainer, I also run my own personal training business called Val Strength Fitness, and there I specialize in a little bit more post-rehab care.
In this video, we are going to help you determine what your current level of fitness is. We are also going to cover the major muscle groups and the way they move. We're going to cover how to arrange and organize your exercises in a structured training program. And lastly, we're going to give you a warm-up and cool-down that you can use before and after you do your exercise. First, I'm going to help you determine where you are at in your fitness level. Now, even if you have been exercising in the past or you understand the basic movements, if you haven't done anything in the last 6 months, I'm going to put you in the beginner category. And don't be afraid, don't be alarmed. You're going to quickly advance to the intermediate or the advanced level. And if you've been exercising for the last 6 months to 2 years, or you've been taking some group classes, maybe you have a personal trainer, you're going to be placed in the intermediate category. And the big thing here is that you've been doing something consistently for at least 6 months to about 2 years. And an advanced exerciser is someone who's been training for 2 years or more consistently. They understand the technique of the basic compound lifts, and they also understand progressive overload and how to continually challenge their body. Now we're going to be covering the basic movements that we're going to be doing in our exercise program. So we like to break up the body into 6 primary movement patterns. Okay? And those movement patterns are the squat, lunge, hinge, push, pull, and carry. And we're going to elaborate those a little bit more coming up. The first movement we're going to highlight is the squat. The squat is an essential movement because obviously we have to stand up and sit down multiple times throughout the day. So I'm going to have my assistant here demonstrate the squat. So the squat is a hip-driven movement. You're sinking back with your hips, which is going to load the quads, the glutes, and the hamstrings. Okay? Next we're going to go into the lunge. Now the lunge is very similar to the squat in that it works basically the same muscles. But what's great about the lunge is it gets you onto one leg, which is great for balance, great for single leg strength, and any of you who are athletes are going to benefit a lot from the lunge. Next we're going to go into the hinge. And the hinge is a movement that we make multiple times throughout the day. Anytime you have to bend over to pick something up. This movement is also driven by the hips. And the muscles it works are the spinal erectors, it works the hamstrings, and it works your glutes. Next we're going to go into the push. And the push can be broken down into 2 parts. So we have a horizontal push, and then we have a vertical push. So they work a lot of the same muscles. The horizontal push is going to target the muscles of the pecs, the front of your shoulders, and then your triceps as an accessory. When we go into the vertical push, which is something like an overhead press, that's going to target the muscles of your shoulders and your triceps. Next we have the pull, and just like the push, the pull can be broken up into 2 separate movements. So we have a horizontal pull here, which is something like a row, and that's going to work the muscles of your lats, rhomboids, traps, and the great thing about the horizontal pull is it works the muscles on your back, which help pull your shoulders back. So we all have sitting down desk jobs, or we're driving all the time, which causes us to let our shoulders roll forward. And so the rowing motion, this pulling motion here, helps expand the shoulder blades back and helps us keep good posture. Then we have a vertical pull, and think of a vertical pull as a lat pull down at the gym or a chin up. That's going to work predominantly the muscles of the lats. It's also going to work all of the muscles on your back. And anytime we're doing any pulling exercises, the biceps and the forearms are going to work to assist the back on that pulling motion. And our last movement we're going to cover is a carry. And a carry is just carrying anything that you may need to carry, like groceries, your kids, your dog. Anytime you have to carry a load, that's going to be covered under the carry movement. So to recap this, we're going to go through all 6 movements again, and I'm going to have Valerie here demonstrate them. So first we have the squat, we have the lunge, we have the hinge, we have the push, we have the pull, and we have the carry. Now that we've determined your current level of fitness, and we've talked about our 6 basic movement patterns, we're going to cover how to organize a training program using the proper exercise order. Now, we can't just show up to the gym and just wing it. We have to have a little bit of an idea, a little bit of structure of what we want to accomplish for that day. So, exercise order matters a lot because when you get to the gym, you're fresh and you're rearing to go. So we want to focus on the most difficult, largest muscle groups first, typically when we're training. We want to tackle the big compound muscle movements, which are, on a leg day, the squat and the deadlift. If you went to the gym for, say, a back and biceps day, it doesn't do us any good to do a bunch of bicep curls before we try to do something like pull-ups or rows. We want to be as fresh as we can for the rows because that's going to give us the most bang for our buck. And the same goes for if you're working out at home. If you're doing a full body workout at home, we don't want the first thing done to be some calf raises or some bicep curls. We want to tackle the major muscle movements like the squat, like the lunge, like the hinge, before we get on to those smaller isolation muscles. And to recap, when we're arranging our training program, remember, hit the largest, most difficult exercises first, and then follow it up with progressively easier ones.
Now I know we gave you a ton of information, but before we apply that to our exercise routine, I'm going to show you a warm-up and a cool-down that you can utilize before any exercise routine. The warm-up is meant to help you increase your heart rate. We want to make sure that our muscles are nice and warm before we start exercising. So today we'll be doing 4 exercises, 30 seconds each. The first exercise is going to be the jumping jack. With all of these exercises, I'm going to show you the modified version first, and then the more advanced version next. So with the jumping jack, we're just going to reach out, lifting our arms overhead. More advanced version would just be this. Next exercise is going to be the step back. Modified version is going to be reaching one leg out, tapping the toe, and bringing it back to center. Advanced version. Next exercise is going to be the high knees. Modified version, hands on hips, knees driving up to the chest, placing your foot back down where it came from. For advanced, last one we're going to do is the bird dog. Modified version, reaching opposite leg and opposite hand out, coming back to center. More advanced version will be on the floor. Opposite leg, opposite hand. So once again, our warm-up consists of jumping jacks, step backs, high knees, and bird dogs. And we're going to do those 30 seconds each, one time through, and you'll be ready for your workout. The cool down is meant to be used after exercise. So once we get our heart rate all high and we're getting all sweaty, we want to make sure that we cool down so our heart rate can come down to a more rested level. I'm going to show you this cool down on the floor. If you have trouble getting on and off the floor, I'll show you a standing cool down as well. The first exercise in our cool down is going to be a knees to chest. We're going to bring both knees to our chest and we're going to support our knees with our hands, giving them a little bit of a pull so we can get a little stretch of that low back. When you're in this position, I want you to hold this for about 5 to 10 breaths. So inhaling into the belly and exhaling through your mouth. Now after this position, we're going to go ahead and bring our feet back down to the floor. Hands are going to be by your sides, and we're going to drop our knees to one side. A little bit of a twisting action. Once your knees are dropped here, breathing for 5 to 10 breaths once again. And once you hit those 5 to 10 breaths, brace your core, bring your knees back to center, and drop to the other side. 5 to 10 breaths here as well. Now we'll come back to center, pushing our back flat. We're going to extend one leg out and one knee in. Hands are going to go behind your knee. You're going to flex your foot, drive that heel up towards the ceiling, and all the way back down. You should start to feel this behind your leg. That's normal. And for this one, we're going to do this about 5 times each side, and then we're going to go ahead and switch. So I show you this again. So extending one leg, whoops, flex the foot, drive that heel up to the ceiling. Last one, we're going to flip over to our hands and knees. So we're going to roll to our side and come on over to hands and knees. From this position, we're going to bring our hands forward and rock our hips back towards our heels. Here we're going to do 5 to 10 breaths as well, making sure we fill the belly with our breath and then exhaling it through our mouth. So for a standing cool down, all you need is a surface that you can kind of hold your balance. But first we're going to start with our shoulders. So we're going to do shoulder rolls forward. Inhaling and exhaling 5 to 10 breaths. And then you're going to switch directions. From here, we're going to find that surface to support us. We're going to bring that heel back, holding the ankle, stretching out our quad. I'll show you from the side. And once again, 5 to 10 breaths each side. From here, we're going to stretch out the back of our legs. Just find a nice comfortable position with your feet, probably about shoulder distance apart. Hands can be on your thighs, and you're just going to poke your hips back, sliding your hands down towards your knees, and kind of feeling a stretch in the hamstrings. If you can go further, go further. If you cannot, just go ahead and stop right here. And once again, 5 to 10 breaths. Last one we're going to do, we're going to just pull our shoulders back and down. So clasping our hands behind us, we're going to pull our shoulders down and back. If you'd like, you can kind of get your neck to go left and right. And once again, 5 to 10 breaths with this as well. If you're doing the floor cool down, feel free to do the standing cool down as well. It's just really meant to bring that heart rate down and get your body super relaxed.
We've covered a lot of information so far, and we hope that you've enjoyed it.
Next week, I'll be giving you guys a full body workout where we'll cover some of the major movements that we talked about today. Stay tuned.